this podcast is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in my mind, it's like I look at this podcast when I failed at this thing, I don't know, maybe like 50 times. Like, you know, there's so many times I'm at a point I'm like, fuck it, like, what am I doing? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
And
Like,
then
what am I doing?
And then you think
And I
about
figured
it,
it
you're
all away,
20,
right?
you're 20, you think about it realistically,
Yeah.
you're 24,
Well,
and you've learned so much
Exactly,
already.
yeah.
Like, and how
Yeah.
valuable is that?
Right, and it's that trial and error. And
Yeah.
like going into this podcast, I never assumed it was going to be something I could say I've created in a job interview, and it like adds to me. Like, there's a lot of times like with like job opportunities, and like I'm talking to people. There's oh, you have a podcast? Like what do you do with that? Like what are you marketing? And, like what business I'm in with like marketing. It's like it's so valuable to know that information because these podcasts and this ability to market yourself online is just going to be so huge here in the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like besides that fact though, this whole podcast is just like I turned on my first 20 episodes, I would turn on the microphone for an hour, talk a whole bunch of shit, say nothing at all, and then just post it without even editing on it, right? Like it was just so shitty.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to a point where it's just like I don't want to give up on it because it's something
you've developed it
because
so
I
much,
understand
yeah.
where it's just like
Yeah.
like I look back at everything and like the growth I've had, like I don't notice it from day to day. It feels like a fucking struggle for the last 2 years trying to fucking figure this thing out. But I look back at it, I'm like, oh, the growth that I've seen from not even just the abilities of just learning with something, growing with something, trial and error, fucking up and trying something else that maybe does work. It's I understand like the self growth that's taught me. Right?
Yeah.
Just to be patient with things and let things grow. It's like nothing needs to be created. Like you see all these people who are 24 years old, 25 years old, successful as fuck. It's like that's such an anomaly to happen.
Yeah.
So it's just like you gotta like think of the question I asked myself about a month ago was if you were 38 years old and that was when your podcast blew up and everything like worked out, would that so be worth it? Because from 38 to the rest of my life, I have this thing that I'm doing that I love.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
Bro.
So it's just like, I'm like, yeah, I would definitely sacrifice the next 14 or 15 years to then do what I love for the rest of my life. Like, that would be something that, like, that would so be worth it. That would pay off all the shit that I go through doing this fucking thing. It would be so worth it. So, like, I agree with you, Kesler. It's a lot of, like, you gotta do that trial and error.
Yeah.
But you also have to be self-aware in it, which is super important.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are under the impression people like quick satisfaction. I'm pretty sure me and you talked about this once. How people in the gym, they get frustrated because they don't see big results within like a month, and then you tell them, hey, wait 3 to 6 months, and you'll actually see a little bit of progress, and that's like usually the threshold when you start seeing that, like that little divot or something or something. You know what I mean?
Or it takes one person being like, oh yeah, you been lifting?
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it just gets you, and that like is the catalyst. That's just it makes it habitual at that point, because then they're like seeing the progress, they're seeing it's worth it. The investment is worth it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think like, yeah, like I'm not naive to what I'm starting here in 2022, and it's gonna be a very long uphill battle, just like anything is with branding or creating a business of any sort. But with that being said, I'm 24. It'd be pretty if it takes off by time, like when I'm 30. If I have to wait 6 years or 8 years, or whatever, I'll wait how long it takes, whatever, or figure out if it doesn't work. You know what I mean? I can figure that out sooner than later, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, man, it's kind of fun just to have like something to tinker with, and then you can just that occupies your brain.
Yeah.
You know, with like even just like general fitness. Not only is it good to get out there and exercise and get out into the world, it's also so much nicer. What's really nice about it is that ability to have that trial and error. I'm sure all of us can vaguely remember the very first workout we went to by ourselves, where you probably went to the dumbbell section, you grabbed the 18s or 20s because you thought that was just enough not to be called a bitch weight, and then you did.
You did the fucking
right, and then like you did that for 2 weeks, and you're like, okay, well, like no fuck. I remember when I was first going into the gym, I was so goddamn stupid. I barely ate. I mean, I ate some, like barely ate, and all I did was I worked out, and I took a protein shake, and I remember after a few weeks, I was really just like, oh, so it'll take more than a few weeks and eat protein shakes to look like Arnold, I guess. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And like but it was that moment where I was just like, okay, like that's something I can try to figure out. But like I feel it does kind of suck for people though who give up at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why having like a valuable support system is, and I think that's something I'm trying to offer with my branding, and I can even say like it's just a little bit of advice. It might be a little unsolicited, but the support that people don't get from their trainers is actually insane. And I mean like more so in the like emotional support, like if someone's genuinely like not feeling good or having a bad day, it's okay to take a rest day. It is more than okay to take a rest day. No, we're not out here getting ready for Navy SEAL selection. We're not out here getting ready for a show. There's coaches that are marketing towards that, you know what I mean? And like I can't offer that. I've never stepped on a stage, and neither of you, to be honest, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's also like just being realistic with people, like, but also it's a healthy balance too. Like you're as a coach, you're going to be there to push, but also you're the loving, gentle hand as well. So I think that's for me. Like I want to try and really offer that to clients as well.
Oh, that's good.